win one of 4 pairs of tickets. 1, like our 93.7 The Ticket page on Facebook and share the post. 2, follow our 93.7 The Ticket account on Twitter and repost the announcement post. 3, come on down to 1040 O Street, buy a drink from the mill, and enter your name in the box. All drawings will be done at noon on Friday. Get entered now.
Still using that old, outdated office phone system? You need better. At Hamilton, we offer solutions for the modern office. Whether you have an office full of staff or your employees work remotely and are on the go, seamless call handling is important. Elevate your communication and connect seamlessly with clients and staff with Hamilton Business Phone Systems. Choose better and hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s. A little bit of a change-up. We had Ben Droz take over the morning. Harrison Arns taking over the night shifts. We got 2 more live shows left. In this one, the debut of Beyond the Routine with Emma Spence. And then right after, we'll have Get Your Happy On Hour with Ricky C. Simmons, as always. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. That's the Starter Heyman text line. Want to put a face to the voice, Facebook, YouTube, Allo 961 if you got Allo Cable, and then of course X streaming on there as always. Without further ado, let's bring in the host of the debut of this show, Beyond the Routine, Emma Spence. How's it going on this Sunday night?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely. And then I know where there's some nerves heading into this one being the first debut of the show.
Yes, for sure. Once we started here, I'm starting to get a little bit better, but definitely still feeling a little bit nervous.
Yeah, and for those that are listening, you might be familiar with the voice. What are some of the other shows? We talked a little bit off air, but this isn't your first time on the ticket.
No, I was actually co-host with Kinsey Davis back when we were doing Talking Tens, and I've been a guest with Nuri and Sam and Sav a couple times as well.
Absolutely. So there you have it. Like I said, not the first time. If you recognize the voice, like I said, she's been on here a few times as a guest, and pretty consistently, I want to say, with Kinsey Davis. I want to say
yes,
you did quite a few shows.
While. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's Kinsey up to these days? You still keep close with that alumni network with Gymnast?
We do talk a little bit. I know she's back home now for, I don't know how long I actually don't really know what she's doing there. If she's starting her job there or not. I should check in with that.
Yeah, pardon my
I think
curiosity.
she's in North Carolina, though.
Yeah, I'm always just amazed. We had some bowlers on, what was it, Thursday night, and they're talking about the training table, which I might want to talk to you about as well, simply just out of jealousy. They got some great stuff, and the athlete connection is very strong at Nebraska, and it's cool to see. But at first, before we even get to Nebraska, let's just talk a little bit about who you are. So obviously, Emma Spence, where are you from, and who's the family?
Yep, I am from a small town called Cambridge, Ontario. It's in Canada.
Okay, when you say small town, though, you got to be specific, because Nebraska small town's a whole nother level.
Yes, that is true. Honestly, I don't know how many people are in the small towns in Nebraska or Cambridge specifically, but
a small town in Nebraska, they're flirting around like 5,000 and under.
Oh, no, not like that. It's definitely bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a decent
Yeah.
sized city.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it was in the middle of Nebraska, we'd consider it that.
Yeah, no, not like Nebraska, but yeah, it's in Cambridge, Ontario. It's about 45 minutes away from Toronto, which is probably like the bigger city close to me. My family, I have 2 younger sisters, one named Abby, one named Libby, and my parents are Christy and Travis.
Okay. And then what's the background with gymnastics? Was this like a family thing? Is this something you got curious about growing up? Or did you have relatives already involved with it in their past?
I actually didn't have any relatives in gymnastics. When my sisters and I were growing up, we were doing swimming lessons, some dance classes. We all played soccer at one point. And then I started gymnastics when I was 6 years old, maybe 6, 7 years old. I actually started because my middle sister, Abby, started first. She attended a birthday party that was like at a gym. And she fell in love with it after doing that. She came home. She was able to do like little cartwheels and somersaults and stuff around the house. And after she was doing that, my other sister and I were kind of jealous that she was able to do these cool tricks and we weren't. So shortly after that, we started doing gymnastics as well. And it was something that we all did together for a long time. I'm obviously still doing gymnastics, and my other 2 sisters retired probably 3 to 5 years ago. So we did it for almost 10 years together. And it was a big family sport for us for a while.
Yeah. Did you have any trepidation like early on? Because gymnastics, I'd imagine you got to be a little bit of a adrenaline junkie because you're flipping your body through
hmm
the air. Some of the things people might be hesitant to try just because it looks scary. Do you have any of that? Because you said you started at 6.
hmm No, I was definitely really scared um, about learning the big skills that I'm doing now. I remember I was probably like 7 or 8 years old, and I was in the gym, and I would watch the older girls doing gymnastics, and they were doing scary flips on the beam. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I never want to be like doing that. Like that just looks so scary. And honestly, it was probably just like a back handspring on beam too, which is something that's
That
like,
sounds scary to me.
well,
And I'm 25.
at this point, it's kinda like a basic for
Mhm.
us, but at the time, that just looked so scary, and then anything else on any of the events looked really scary, but eventually, as you start doing it, you start learning, like, the progressions and the basics on, like, getting to those harder skills. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, and it was actually really fun. Like, you're right about that adrenaline rush.
Mhm.
It's definitely a really fun feeling when you can do it.
So, what was your kind of mindset like heading into as you start building up those skills that you're talking about to get to more of the quote unquote scary ones that turn out not to be so scary? Was it one of those things where you're like, you just got to do it to get over it?
Yep, I had some pretty good coaches growing up that were understanding of when I was a little bit nervous. I would
Hmm.
tell them we'd work on like drills and kind of progression skills to build up to those harder skills at the time. And just yeah, it was all about trusting yourself. If they said like they were like, okay, like we believe you can do it. I'm like, okay, I guess I can do it. And that's kind of how that built from like not thinking that I could do it to doing it, and then just really having to trust yourself and just go for it. Trying not to overthink it, because the things that we do sometimes, even now, like if I look back, it's like I don't know how my body actually does that. Like even like a double flip on floor. Sometimes if I sit down and I think about it, I'm like, I actually have no idea how that works. Like I don't know how I actually do that. So sometimes it's all about not even thinking about it at all. Something that I did growing up was just focus on gymnastics when I'm in the gym, because if I was at my house or like trying to fall asleep and I just start thinking about how do I do this flip or how do I do this, then I start like overthinking and get through this like spiral of like I don't even know how to do like some basic skill that I like completely confuse myself. So I try to always think about gymnastics when I'm in the gym and try to think about other things when I'm not in the gym so that I don't overthink it too much.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Like you notice with all like really just about every sport. There's maybe a few, and you guys can chime in if you can even think of them. But like most great athletes, they get to a point where it's just second nature. Because
hmm
the moment you start thinking, you'll hear the coaches say like that's when mistakes happen. Like it's got to be, fluid. You got to have to do with confidence, but you don't get that unless you're doing a lot of the routine early on to where you have that muscle memory built up. All right, so you're 6 years old. You talked about that connection with your sisters growing up, getting into gymnastics. At what point did you realize like I'm actually really good at this? And what does that kind of look like at that youth level? Because here in the US, I know a lot of gymnasts are homeschooled because it is one of those things where it's just good to get in there early. The schedules around it, it's easier for kids to be homeschooled. Not to say that's the case for everybody, but what was that like for you? Was it like a homeschool thing, or did you still go to school? And I'm not sure what Canada would be, probably a little bit different than the US, obviously. So when did that start, like schooling? And then at what point were you like, okay, I'm actually really good at this?
Yeah. So it kind of depends on the person whether you're going to do homeschooling and gymnastics. Some people went to special sports schools that they have in Canada for like, I mean, a lot of hockey players were doing it where they like the school program kind of adapts and like builds classes around your sports schedule.
Is it
But
about like each school has a specific sport, or it's like a school that's like no, just like multiple? It's just kind of a hot spot for athletes.
yeah, more like a
Okay.
hotspot for athletes, and they were good at adapting. But I actually went to just a regular Catholic high school and elementary school. But I had some really good teachers. They were pretty understanding of the situation that I was in. Since I was probably, I would say 9 or 10 years old, we started having practice in the afternoon. So I would go to class in the morning, and then I would leave around lunchtime and then go to practice for probably about 4 hours in the afternoon, multiple times a week. And honestly, it was challenging being that young and like not being able to hang out with my friends at lunchtime and at recess, and missing out on the classes that I was doing in the afternoon, because then I would usually have to do it at home
Hmm.
after practice. So I didn't go to any like specific like special school for athletes. Very grateful for my mom, because she actually would take us to practice on our lunch break, pick us up from school, bring us to the gym, and then go back to work because we didn't really have any other way of getting there. So that's kind of how we navigated that. My sisters and I, all of us were doing that from a really young age. And then eventually, well, I guess once I got my license, I was able to drive myself. And
Was that the same in Canada?
the driver's license?
Yeah, 16 here in the US. I'm not sure what it'd be in
Um,
Canada.
I think it depends on the province. In Ontario, you get like it goes like different.
We get like a
It's
learner's permit
yeah,
too. Like
it's
I
yeah,
know.
it's kind of like a learner's permit,
Mhm.
but you have to drive with someone else in the car for the first 8 months. So
Okay.
you still can't drive by yourself, and then you have to do another test, and then you're able to drive by yourself if you pass that test after 8 months. But if you get 8 months if you do a driving course. If you don't do the driving course and you just do the first test, you have to wait a whole year before being able to do your other test, and then you can drive by yourself. So it's kind of complicated, and it just depends on what path you want to take.
It's somewhat similar because we have I know we had driver's ed, right? If you take driver's ed and you pass the test, you're good. You get your
Mhm.
license, you're free to go. Or you don't take driver's ed. I think your insurance takes a hit. I'm not
I
entirely
think
sure
that's
on
what
that.
it is for us
Yeah,
too.
but then you can do. I can't remember. You have to log so many hours with another person in the car that does have their license and is
Mhm.
certified, and then you log those. But yeah, it's not too much different. Okay, so got off on a tangent on driving there, but we're talking about gymnastics, and you mentioned your mom. I know it's awkward for the daughter or son to say their parent's name, but let's go ahead and give her the shout out. What's her name?
Her name's Christy Spence.
Christy
I
Spence. All
think
right.
she's listening. She told me she's gonna be tuning in tonight. So,
Okay, well,
hey,
shout out
mom.
Christy Spence for the sacrifices. At what age did you realize some of the sacrifices that your parents are making? Because kids, it's hard to realize like how much your parents are really doing for you.
Um, I think probably around that time when they had to start moving their schedules around for our athletic schedules,
Hmm.
which I mean, it is a pretty big sacrifice because there was 3 of us doing gymnastics. So 3 of us had these crazy schedules. We'd be either practicing early in the morning, in the middle of the day, late at night. They'd have to after work make us dinner and like all that stuff. Like there were times I finished practice at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they'd pick me up with the meals from dinner ready in the car. I'd eat it on the
Oh,
drive
that's
home.
awesome.
Because they had their busy work schedules. We had our school schedules on top of it. My mom was also a teacher, which was really helpful because when I would miss school in the afternoon, and then I had to make it up when I was at home, she was able to help with that too. If I was a little bit confused, or she also knew the other teachers, which were able to help tutor me if I was also kind of lost and confused, especially in high school when I started missing like actual classes. In elementary school, it wasn't that big of a deal, but
Yeah, trying to teach yourself.
yeah.
I don't know what it. Maybe just throw chemistry out there by yourself without an instructor. It can
Yeah.
be challenging.
So that was really good. She had good connections with the other teachers that were also very supportive at my school and able to help me. Um, I just get stay up to date and get everything done that I needed to so I
How
could
busy?
graduate.
How busy is that workload then? Being a like, what's the day routine look like from going to class to traveling, just to practice, or even for meets? Like, how busy is that schedule at that point in your career?
So, for me, because I went to a regular high school, I wake up in the morning, take the bus to school. I'd go to class. I do 2 or 3 classes in the morning. At lunchtime, I would head to the gym. Either I would drive once I got my license, or my mom would run over, drop me off, and I'd come back. I'd practice for about 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon, and then come home. And usually, I had to do tutoring. If well, depending on like the semester or the class. When I
Right.
was missing chemistry, I definitely needed a tutor. Same with some math classes. If I was missing those, I definitely needed a tutor to help
Hmm.
me. So I'd go to tutoring. Sometimes I would have to lift after practice as well. So I'd either lift tutoring or just tutoring, come home, eat dinner, and then it's making up and teaching myself the classes that I was missing in the afternoons on top of all that. And then the homework on top of it that like a regular or regular student would have too. So I was pretty busy like at the end of the day too, getting that done, making sure I'm eating. And then there's also the recovery part where I'm trying to relax my body as much as I can, like have a bath, go in the hot tub, roll out, whatever I need to do so that I'm able to get through the next day and then the next day because it's just so busy every day. And then also trying to go to bed on time,
Yeah.
but also needing to get all the schoolwork done and the assignments done. So it was very busy. Um, yeah, very busy.
So, okay. So at one point, like, what kept you focused? Right. You mentioned the schedule. The schedule's a gauntlet, especially for like a high school kid. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, like most high school kids, like a lot of them, anyways, they'll have some, whether it's fine arts or it's sports, they'll do some practice after school. but not maybe to that extent to the point where you also have to miss classes just to get in practice. What kept you focused? Like, what was the thing driving you to like, you know what, this is a lot, but it's necessary to go where I want to go?
I think what like made it matter or made it like count for me was when I started competing internationally and when I started representing Canada. I made the national team in 2017. So I was about 14. So I don't know what grade that is. Maybe like 9,
Okay.
no, 8. I don't know. I was like 14 when I made the national team and then that's when I started traveling internationally. So I would be gone for about a week or 2 at a time on top of all this, which is also crazy, but
Hmm.
it just made it worth it. My first international competition was in Tokyo, Japan. And I was like, yeah, 14 years old, traveling to Japan by myself with my coaches, being able to represent Canada. It was just such an amazing experience. And like, I just kept telling myself, like, yeah, it sucks that I have to be doing all of this extra work and doing all these extra things to stay on top of it so that I can graduate on time and everything. But and like I guess all those sacrifices because I wasn't able to go hang out with my friends on the weekends
Right.
or go to parties or anything like that. But I
Yeah,
just
you're in
kept
Japan.
yeah, and I was
Can't.
just traveling, competing, training, like, that's all I was doing for so long, but then when I was able to go to those international competitions or go to just any competitions and see all my gymnastics friends from Canada and all around the world because I started making friends with gymnasts all over the world, it just made it all worth it for me. It made me feel like those sacrifices were worth it and that all those hard times and all those hard things that I had to go through that no one else had to go through, which at one point I was like, this sucks that I'm the only one that has to. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, I'm the only person that was able to go through all these international competitions. And that's kind of what made it worth it for me. And that was my motivation just to keep competing and bettering myself in the sport.
How surreal was that international experience when you first realized like this is real? I'm going to be a part of this. Like I am like quote unquote rising to the top, green the crop, whatever you want to call it. You're good enough to be a part of that group. So what was kind of that realization like for you?
That was crazy. I think when it really started to set in was when I got my national team kit. So I got the leotards, the gear, the clothes,
Hmm.
like the backpack, all of like the official Gymnastics Canada stuff. And I remember it was delivered to my house and my whole family, we all got around each other and I was like opening all of it up, like, oh my gosh, look at this, Leo, look at this, Leo, look at this shirt, the jacket. So all of that was really cool. I remember I got that pretty close to before I left for Japan, which was my first international competition. And that was just such an amazing feeling. That's when it was really setting in like, oh, wow, I'm actually going to be representing Canada internationally. And same thing when I walked into the first day of the competition and I'm wearing the Canada gear. And then there's the people wearing the American stuff, the Japanese, like all the different countries that they were representing. I was like, wow, I'm representing Canada here. And every other person here is representing their own country. And that is so cool.
How cool are those connections that you made? Like just seeing people from all over the country.
It's really cool because I don't really know many other people that had the opportunity to,
Yeah, it's a rare group for
yeah,
sure.
just connect with other athletes that were doing the same thing that they were doing, but from different countries. I actually made friends with a lot of Americans throughout that I'm now friends with that are at other schools in the NCAA, which is really cool. Same with Chenge when she was here the
Okay,
last 2
cool.
years. I competed with Chenge since 2018, so even before she came here. So just making connections with friends from other countries has been so amazing because then I go even if I don't know, in the future I go to a vacation somewhere in a country where I know some gymnasts there, like, it'd just be cool to connect with them in that way too afterwards.
Absolutely. And we're gonna have to keep diving in. We might, unfortunately we only got an hour. I don't even know if we're gonna be able to get through it all. Because you definitely got a lot of accolades. You got a crazy journey. But I am curious, since we got a little bit of time on this first break, what's Japan like? Like I'd imagine that place has got to be somewhat of a culture shock. I hear a lot of great things about it. It's kind of one of the bucket list places I'd love to go and visit. What's that like?
It's really you're right, it's definitely very different, but it's beautiful. I
Hmm.
went in 2017 for that competition, and then I went once again in 2023. I
Okay, so you
went
got to see it a
yeah,
couple times
I
now.
went last year for, I'm on the big safeguarding committee for like so it's like a committee through gymnastics, and
Right.
I got invited to be one of the Canadian representatives there. And that wasn't even for gymnastics. It was more like touring, meeting different people, sitting in on important conversations. And that time I was actually able to tour it and get to experience the culture even more. And it's just so amazing. The people there are so nice. They're so friendly. Um,
I hear it's really clean. Is
I
that
was about
true?
to say it was
Okay.
very clean. The food was really good. It was also like you could tell it was just like healthy, homemade,
Yeah.
like natural food, and you like felt good after eating it. So I would say every part of that experience was really nice.
Is that a pretty important factor for you, is trying to find food that is healthy and clean? Because I know, I never want to besmirch the U.S. here, but I know it's not our best asset in terms of having clean food.
I mean, I try to as much as I can, but I also do love, like a good burger or
Oh, yeah,
desserts.
everyone
Like I
does.
definitely don't avoid that completely, but just depending on where I'm at in the season and preparing for season, I guess I do try to make better choices, but I mean, it
Yeah,
is what it
I mean,
is.
one burger once in a blue moon
Yeah.
isn't gonna kill you.
Yeah.
As long as as long as you keep it at a finite amount, that you're not going crazy with it. All right, you got 3 minutes left here. Before we get to Nebraska, was there any other schools like popping up in your head? Like when you get to the point now where clearly you're on the national team for Canada, you're getting the cool gear. When did the college offers really start to come through?
Honestly, for the longest time, I didn't even think or know that I wanted to do NCAA.
Okay.
It's not really a popular thing in Canada. Over the last few years, I'd say that there are definitely more Canadians that are doing NCAA gymnastics. But even when I was committing or looking to commit, there weren't many people that were doing it. So I didn't really know much about it. But because of that, I wasn't really in touch with many schools. I was kind of just on the fence about deciding whether I was even going to do it or not. About that time, that's when Nebraska reached out to me at one of the competitions. I know Heather came to watch. I think it was the 2019 Canadian Championships, potentially 2018 too. And that's when she reached out to my coach at the time, and they started. I think they went to go get coffee or something. She explained to him NCAA, how it works. He kind of relayed the information back to me, and that's how I got connected with our head coach, Heather. I told her that I still wasn't sure if I was going to want to do it or how it worked. And I had all these questions, but her and the coaches were really helpful. They explained to me how it works. They actually, at the time, I wasn't even able to go visit because of COVID.
Yep.
So I had to just kind of not blindly commit, but I
Look at pictures and do the best you can.
Yeah. The coaches did FaceTime tours, which was nice because I actually wasn't able to visit, but that's kind of how I got, I guess, contacted with the coaches. And yeah, I decided to come here. Everything seemed really nice, like through the videos and stuff and things. I was doing my own research online a little bit just about Nebraska because I didn't even know what Nebraska was or where it was because I
mean, it's a
honestly,
flyby state.
yeah. And I mean, I didn't really know American geography at all. So, but that's why I decided it just seemed like a good place to be. And I also love country music, and it seemed like there was a lot of country music here. So I was like, okay, might as well come here. So
Yeah, certainly. If you head anywhere outside of Lincoln or Omaha, you try to pick up music on your radio, it's going to be 9 country stations, maybe 1 rock. Very rarely will you get like a hip hop rap. You'll maybe get some Catholic radio as well, but it's definitely a culture that everybody's pretty familiar with at this point. It's, you can call it a flyby, but it's nice and quiet at the same time. So I don't really mind it. All right. With that being said, we got to go ahead and throw to our first break here. Again, this is the debut of Beyond the Routine with Emma Spence, Nebraska Gymnastics. We did a question from YouTube. We'll tie that into the next segment. So don't go anywhere. We'll keep things rolling right here on Ticket Sundays.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your lake and forecast for today, we'll see a slight chance of showers and storms this morning. Otherwise, probably the mostly sunny skies expected. An afternoon high around 85. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 58. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return. We'll see a high around 77. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
You've seen them come and go. Franchise testosterone clinics that pop up and then whoosh, they're gone. These franchise clinics quickly find out it's not easy to compete with Limitless Male. Limitless is locally owned and operated with a flawless protocol that has elevated them to be the best in men's testosterone replacement and sexual performance. By adding GLP-1s, our patients are losing weight in a healthy way. To feel your optimal best, schedule a free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
In today's digital landscape, the security of your business is non-negotiable. That's why you need better cybersecurity solutions. At Hamilton, we make it our business to protect your network, data, and digital assets with the latest in cybersecurity technology. Our dedicated team of experts has the technology in place to protect what matters most to you and your business. Stay ahead of cyber threats with better cybersecurity protection. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Riddles Jewelry is excited to be celebrating 65 years. 65 years of so many incredible memories celebrating with each of your special moments. In celebration of the 65th Riddles Jewelry anniversary, we will be offering up to 40% off all engagement rings and all diamond fashion jewelry. The excitement doesn't stop there. Riddles Jewelry is also offering 18 months, 0% interest and $0 down financing on all qualifying purchases. Riddles Jewelry has always been known for incredible customer service, one of the largest selections of engagement rings, and don't forget about the on-site jeweler. Come celebrate with us at Riddles Jewelry, your one-stop diamond shop with exclusive Levian jewelry, Pandora Charm jewelry, and more. All at Riddles inside Gateway Mall.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos for Ticket Sunday night at that. And again, this is just a quick programming change. Next week, I'll be back in the morning. Ben Droz will be back at night. But this is the debut of Beyond the Routine with Emma Spence. We did get your comments from YouTube. We'll tie that in here shortly. But before we do that, I want to dive a little bit more on Nebraska. So we kind of talked about it. You really had to take somewhat of a leap of faith. Really, everyone did in that COVID era. Mm-hmm. So what was it like seeing the facilities from just your phone camera to all of a sudden now you're actually there in person and you get to see what I think personally, not even just trying to be biased, just looking around, not just all D1 programs, but even the Big Ten, Nebraska stands out. So what was that like looking at it from a phone, and now you're actually there in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Yeah, it was just incredible because, well, first of all, they don't really have big athletics, like university athletics in Canada. So when I saw it on the video when the coaches were doing the FaceTime tours, I was like, oh, wow, like that's really nice. But I didn't realize how nice it actually was and just how many things that there were. Like I stepped on campus. Well, first of all, my first time in Nebraska was when I moved here, which is also kind of crazy. My mom and my sister drove with me and they kind of walked around and we got a little tour when I got here. So we all saw it for the first time together and we just kept looking at each other like, this is actually unreal. Like the amount of ends that are everywhere, all the red and all like everything was just like, everything here is kind of like just Nebraska theme. And that's just so unreal because they really don't have big facilities like that in Canada unless it's like really professional sports. But knowing that this is like at the college level, it's unreal. The amount of resources that we have, the amount of effort and work that they put into the facilities so that they just look nice too. Like they're really convenient. They work well. Like the gym itself is amazing, but just the way that it looks and the aesthetic of it too is just so beautiful. And seeing that for the first time was crazy.
Yeah, and I know people have seen like some of the videos come out of like the new facilities. Oh my Lord. Do you guys get lost in there?
Yes, I still don't know. I had a meeting last week and I couldn't figure out where the meeting room was.
I was gonna say like the drone, I couldn't keep up and they were flying through it with the drone and it looked like it took forever to get them. Like now this is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
But what's that been like getting used to the new facility so far?
I'm still getting used to it because I mean I did get lost last week trying to find a meeting room, but it's unreal. There's so many like now the new like life skills area. We got so many study rooms, tutoring rooms, tables so you can work with your friends, you can work individually. There's just so much space for everything that we need in the new training table. That is where we have all our food given to us and it's just unreal. We have an outdoor seating area with a balcony now.
Man.
It's just crazy overlooking one of the football fields.
One of the practice fields I take it.
Yeah. It's so pretty.
Take advantage of it now because once October hits November, like we're about to get through it now where it feels like when winter hits in Nebraska, it hits hard. So talking about that, just what were your surprises about Lincoln, Nebraska? Like you said, the one thing, which is absolutely true. It's, I think, a big part of it. No pro teams around. So everything is centered around the University of Nebraska. Yeah, there's some J-skers, they'll go root for Creighton Blue Jays for basketball season. But that's a whole other note. For the most part, though, especially during the fall, people really rally around the University of Nebraska. And you'll see the Husker signs all the way out far west, far north, far south Nebraska. It's everywhere. So what were some of those culture shocks just outside of the fandom for Nebraska?
I think one of the biggest things for me was just realizing what the stores were. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I'd be driving like, I don't know, down O Street, for example, and there'd be a name of a store and I didn't know if it was a store, if it was a restaurant, like.
Oh, I kind of see what
like,
you're saying.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think like Hy-Vee, for example, the name of the grocery store. I drove by and I saw Hy-Vee and I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, Hy-Vee doesn't really say grocery.
Yeah.
But I know.
So just like a bunch of stores, like not knowing what they were. And then my friends would be saying like, oh, I just went here. Like they named like some random store. And I'm like, so is that like a restaurant? Did you get groceries there? Did you go shopping? So just figuring out like the different names of different stores, grocery stores, all that was definitely different and took some time for me to get used to. Target. I love Target.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was before I got here, but I love having one here and driving distance to one. Definitely has been great.
It is nice. My last 6 pairs of shoes came from Target.
Oh, nice.
They're like $20.
Yeah.
I got great deals on clothes. I know like that's probably not where I was going to go with this segment, but like, yeah, if you're a guy looking for clothes, Target's got you.
Yeah.
I got plenty of stuff there. What are some stores that you really like now? You mentioned Target. What about food places?
Food places. I like a lot of them, honestly. I like Panera a lot. I went there today. Cane's.
Cane's is good. Have you tried Momo's yet? That's always one I sell. It's a little more of a fancier.
The restaurant?
Yep.
Yes. I love that restaurant. It's so good.
It's hard to get into though, because it is so good. You have to call, I'm not trying to give free sponsors here, but it's so damn good that it's kind of worth it. Like you got to call in advance.
Yes.
But yeah, anytime people come to Lincoln, I'm like, book ahead and make sure you eat there because you can get pizza, it's like whatever you want.
Yeah.
They got great menus. Speaking of that, training table. What's your favorite thing? I hear they got a froyo machine. That's the bowlers really hyped about that. They got some great selections And I also hear the fruit. For whatever reason, the fruit is everyone raves about the fruit being better than anywhere else. Is that true?
I was about to say, I think the fruit is my favorite part. I think it's just because there's not really anywhere that you can go where you just have like a different variety. Like you have any berries that you want, any melons that you want, like I think my favorite right now is probably the mango because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like pre-peeled, pre-cut.
Do they got kiwi?
Sometimes they have kiwi. Yeah.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Because that fruit's a bit of a hassle. So to
Yeah.
have that like already a nice cut for you, that's a game
I
changer.
think that's what's really nice about it. Like any berries, the melons, like watermelon's always pre-cut. So you just get that.
I hear it's super fresh.
Yes. Yes. So I would definitely say the fruit. I'm a big fan of grilled cheese, and last week they had a grilled cheese bar. So that was nice.
So grilled cheese bar. Give me one more main entree. I heard that the other day they were having I think I want to say it was pork. I can't remember what cut of pork it was, but it was like a pork steak
Oh,
type of cut of
yeah,
meat.
I did see that. Let me think. Last week I know there was also like a Mediterranean bowl like section, so you could make your own. That was really good too.
Yeah, that'd be up there for me. And
Yeah.
it feels like they're just gonna keep rolling out. Like it's
Mhm.
kind of a rotating menu.
Yep. And then they have different ones where you can kind of like make your own. So like the Mediterranean bowl, the grilled cheese bar, all
Yeah,
that kind of
I
stuff.
heard they had ramen night once here as
Yes.
well, which
Yes,
is
that one's
really
good.
cool, especially like early on. Let's
Mhm.
give the cooks a little bit of a breather too, like as they get used to the equipment. Ramen feels like a great one to make everybody happy. But that being said, though, the training tables, obviously, the upgrades at Nebraska are awesome. I encourage people to just go check out the video to see the absolute size of those facilities. You'd get lost in it too. So now, when it comes to Nebraska, what's that first year like? Just getting comfortable before even all these new crazy facilities we're said and done with. What's that first year at like Nebraska? Just trying to get comfortable so far away from home.
I think it was a lot of adjusting. I didn't have a car here my first year, so that was also kind of hard to navigate, having to rely on my teammates that were also in the dorms for rides to get literally
Mhm.
anywhere, or if I need to go to the store. And I'm kind of a shy person, so I always felt bad asking people like, "Hey, are you going to Target?
Were
Can I
you
come
always
with you?"
shy, or is that like a new thing just because you're in a completely new area?
Um, Probably newer because I was just in a different country and I didn't know anyone when I moved here.
That's a pretty normal reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, that part was just crazy. I think being able or having to make friends with people that I didn't know, being in a place that I've never been, in a new country, and just having to basically start from scratch and make all friends and meet all these people, that I think was the most challenging part for me. And then having to ask them for rides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then just help for anything because I kept getting lost on campus and um, understanding our training schedule and navigating that. Another thing is that so my first language was French, and I went to school in French from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. So every class that I was in French. And then when I got here, everything was in English. So once I started taking like math classes and science classes and all of those classes that you would have some background knowledge about before getting into here, but I knew all those words and all the terminology in French. So having to
Relearn it all.
yeah, it was like I had to relearn it all. I had to work with tutors, which was very helpful. I'm really glad that I had access to tutors here because that did help a lot. But having to figure out just how to do all my schooling in English and even just writing papers, it was, I think my sophomore or junior year, I took like my first actual English class and I had to write papers. And I was like, I don't even know how to write a paper in English. I had to go to the writing center on campus. They taught me like, I know like the transition words and all like the basic things that most people would know.
Yeah,
But
because like you know how to structure it.
mhm,
Same thing with like, if you're talking chemistry or calculus, it's like you know how it works, but until you have the terminology,
yeah.
you're not gonna be able to put it together.
Yeah, and it just like I would write a paper, but it didn't sound very professional because
Right.
I didn't really know those bigger words or fancier words that people would use in papers.
Hmm.
So having to learn all that was challenging, but we had a lot of really good resources here, and that was really helpful, especially um yeah, the academic side of it. And like we were talking about earlier, the mental health side was definitely very helpful because um I was feeling kind of like alone because I was away from my family and all my friends and I had to start over. So mentally I was struggling quite a bit because of that. And I was able to use the sports psych at Nebraska and I still use them to this day. They're amazing. If I ever need help with anything or need to talk about anything, they're always there for me. I still meet with them regularly. That has definitely been really helpful and that's helped me ever since I've been here.
Absolutely. And that kind of answers that question off of YouTube for us. Appreciate the comment from Big Red Mass. And again, if you guys want to keep chiming in, feel free to do so. Use the streams or use the Start Him text line. Like I said, we're not on the brick and mortar, but that number is still available to you. 402-464-5685. All right. Get a little more of the background here. We're getting close to this next break. So before we go to that break, who are those friends that we should shout out? Because he's mentioned, you had a bunch of great friends that really helped you out. Obviously giving you rides and that part and not being rude about just making sure that you're good and comfortable. Who's some of those people early on that you can really shout out and you appreciate?
I would say probably everyone in my class, like my senior year class now. There was Hallie, Asia, Katie, Simp, Sav, Gigi. I'm still close to them. Kinsey Davis was actually a really big help for me too, because she was a year older than me, but she was able to, I guess, help me understand things that I didn't know, or if I was confused, I could just ask her. And because she was already here, she knew the answer right away. And that's how I got that relationship with Kinsey Davis so fast, is because she was really helpful, really open to helping all of us.
Yeah, that seems like a really common theme I see, like not even just within sports teams, like not just the football guys helping the football guys, the soccer girls helping the soccer girls, vice versa. You could list a bunch of them. But does feel like there is a strong coalition of student athletes representing the yen, as opposed to just representing, say Emma Spence representing Husker Gymnastics. Like, you guys do a good job representing the end and what that end means. What is that kind of connection like? And I hear a lot of it's actually around the training table. I don't know if that still holds true because of the new facilities, but I do hear a lot of great things about that area.
I would say yes, through the training table and also the life skills area, where we do our schoolwork. There's like a whole open studying area. There's different like leadership groups on campus or the athletic department. There's SAC, Involved, Inner Circle.
Mhm.
So being part of those. And I think, honestly, I forgot to mention this earlier, there's an international student group. And that was so helpful for me ever since I've been here, because all international athletes, if they want to, will get together once a month and we talk about our experiences being in a new country, the challenges we're going through, the ups and the downs. And it's just like a built-in family that we had, that we're all kind of going through the same challenges, going through the same things, and being in a different country away from home. We were able to really connect, have fun, play games. Even last week, we had a meeting and we played this game where each person said a word from their home country in their home language or native language, and we had to guess what word they were saying. So we were going around, there are at least 10, 15 different languages that people were saying like a word, and then everyone would have to try and guess what that word was. And that was really fun. And it's just a little family that we have in the US, even though our families aren't in the US.
Yeah, and that is important because, we can talk about like the obvious things, why we think having those groups is important, but it's also just like legally. I know with NIL, that's like a whole another beast when it comes to foreign students. Like, what are their laws in their own country? Then obviously you got the NCAA hoops to jump through there, and you get to the point where now it's finally legalized in the US. Had enough experience talking to Nuri how like it's still have those complications, and to have groups like there. And you mentioned SAC. SAC's doing a really cool thing. I know they hosted their first meet at the bowling alley, and I think they're going to go from different facility to facility, if I got that right. I'm not sure what the next one, and I have to go back, watch Striking Up a Conversation with a couple of bowlers, which you guys can watch every weeknight on Mondays. But yeah, it's really cool to see just the University of Nebraska. It feels like they do a good job keeping all the student athletes involved in multiple leadership groups as well. All right, with that being said, we're already running out of time on the second segment. So don't go anywhere. We got one final segment with Emma Spence as she is debuting Beyond the Routine. Don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling right here on Ticket Sundays.
Explain to me again why we're sleeping on the ground.
Because we're thramping. Thrift camping. It's saving us money and getting us closer to nature.
But we don't need to thramp. I just combined our home and auto insurance with our State Farm agent, so we have a rate that fits our budget.
All right. Do you think our agent can bring us an air mattress?
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krekak, at 402-474-1173.
Individual premiums and budgets will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals in everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com. Follow the Huskers to the City of Angels when Nebraska plays at USC in November. Book your official Nebraska alumni travel package at HuskerFanTravel.com. Choose from 2 or 3 night options that include a downtown LA hotel, exclusive welcome event, game day transportation, and the official Husker Huddle pregame party. Add on game tickets for an optional upgrade. Transportation to and from LA not included. Join the official Nebraska alumni trip to see the Huskers play at USC. Spots are limited, so book your trip now at HuskerFanTravel.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G356093 must trade.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
For 15 years, Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping has been helping Lincoln become healthier, happier, and more fit through our proven combination of kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching. And to celebrate 15 years of success, we're offering you 50% off our next 10-week challenge beginning September 14th. That's 10 weeks of fun group fitness classes and individualized coaching for half off. And at the end of the 10 weeks, someone's walking away with $1,000 for the best transformation. Come check it out. What do you have to lose? Click on the banner at theticketfm.com to learn more. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill or 70th and Vine. And check us out online at fxblincoln.com.
It's the greatest time of the year again. Kickoff is here and football is officially back. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog, and this year you can too. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up with promo code EARLY, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code EARLY to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 19 plus in Nebraska and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
To the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment. Harrison Arns on the board for Ticket Sunday night, that is. We got Emma Spence debuting her new show of Nebraska Gymnastics, Beyond the Routine. To wrap things up, believe it or not, we talked over the break. Emma's already heading into her senior year, 4 years as a Husker. Emma, what are some of the goals that you hope to achieve in this final run with the Huskers?
I think an overall goal is just going to be embracing and enjoying every opportunity that I have, whether that's academic, athletic, just all aspects of being a Nebraska Husker. I just want to be able to appreciate everything that I have and be present and just enjoy every moment, because it is going to be my last moments doing it. Specifically in the gym, I think just keep progressing and getting better scores. As a team, we want to be able to do better than we did the last couple of years. We just want to keep progressing as a team as well. Hopefully making it further in the Big Ten rankings as well as the NCAA rankings. I know a big team goal for us is going to make it to day 2 of regionals. We haven't done that in a while. So we're really focusing on doing that and just higher rankings in the Big Ten. Individually, I mean, the goal for every gymnast, I think, is to get a 10, but I think that'd be really cool if I could end my senior year with a 10. I've gotten a 9975 on bars before, and then a couple 995s on vault and floor. So
What's your best event?
honestly, it depends on the day.
Okay.
My highest scoring event would be bars, but that was my sophomore year. Last year, I would say floor and vault were the highest because I got 995s on both of those events. So
you're pretty a bit of jack of all trades when it comes to events.
usually I do all around.
Okay.
I feel like honestly sometimes that like my all around score is my best one because it's like a solid average of all 4.
Mhm.
But specific events honestly depends on the day. So wherever the event's good, I'm good.
Yeah, well, when you're in that many events as well, it's probably hard to just like be dominant one every single time when you're just constantly working on new, however you want to say it, new skills for all of those routines. Which routine do you want to get best at, or which event, I should say, or do better than last year? You want to make a significant jump.
I mean, beam. I don't really like beam. I don't like competing beam. I like training beam. Competing beam is always challenging for me. So if I can improve my confidence going into competing beam, that would be nice. But I'm also very excited to be competing floor this year because I have a new floor routine. So being able to perform with the new music, the new dance, very, very excited about floor.
How does that all work when you're getting to a new floor routine? Obviously, the coaches probably have some involvement, some say. But when it comes to music and putting that stuff together, like how long does that really take?
So first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Molly Korth, one of our new coaches. She's the one that made the new floor routine for me. We did it about 2 weeks ago now, and she helped me pick out the music. Basically, it kind of depends on the athlete. It depends on their styles, what they want. I kind of told her what kind of vibe I wanted, and she helped me find songs, and then she mashed them together, and that's how we got my floor music. So very exciting. It's kind of sassy, fun, similar to the style of my other one, but it's also different. There's some fast parts, some slow parts, and yeah, she taught it to me about a week and a half ago now. So it's still kind of new, but it's very fun, and I'm very excited to be able to show people.
Yeah, those are always entertaining, especially if you watch the Olympics. Like those are really the events where people like get up and they really start having a good time, starting to clapping. And just for people if they're curious, if they want to head to a Nebraska gymnastics event, what's that like? The fan experience? Because I do think people sometimes have a misunderstanding. Not that it's misunderstanding in the wrong way, but they just haven't actually been to one yet. And they're actually a lot more fun and loud than people might imagine. So what's the fan experience if you were to go watch the Huskers this year?
Just a lot of energy, honestly. Like the fans are usually really loud. We have the cheerleaders sometimes, which is fun. Sometimes the band is there. So there's actually quite a bit of people involved in Husker athletics, I guess, that come support us too, which is nice. And then we got the big screen. Sometimes they have games in between events, like Guess the Husker or like the dance cam. So it's very interactive with the audience as well. So you're not just sitting there and watching the whole time. There's all those kind of interactive things that you can do. If someone scores, I believe it's a 9-9 or higher, they get the t-shirt toss to the audience.
So there's some incentives even more. Like you want your Huskers to do good always, but if they do really good, you get some t-shirts on.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool things that come out of it. So I definitely wouldn't say it's boring. You're not just sitting there the whole time. You can either be dancing or whatever is going on the screen if you want to recreate it, or maybe catch a t-shirt or two.
I want to say last year, I think I can't remember if it was a record, but it was a really good attendance. I want to say it was for our first homie. It was the debut of our homie.
I think, yes, it was like it would have been our first home meet, and it was like the highest.
It was like the highest attended in X amount of years.
Yes.
And I want to say it was over 10K if I remember.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. Yeah.
Are you expecting something similar
I
this year?
hope so. I think our team's looking really strong, and we're still only in September. And I think we're just going to keep building off of that. And hopefully people are going to be wanting to come watch us perform and see the improvements that we've had. We have a new coaching staff, a couple transfers in, some new freshmen. So this team is kind of new, but we've been working really well together, and we're excited to show people what we have.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap things up for us. Emma Spence, they want to give you a follow on social media. Where can they find you? I got your Twitter. I don't know if you want to toss out your Instagram, all that stuff as well.
Sure. So my Instagram is _ Emma Spence. My Twitter, I believe, is Emma _ Spence 13.
That is correct. Absolutely. Go ahead and give her a follow. Again, this was the debut. She'll be back again next week, same time. She'll be from 7 to 8 p.m. every Ticket Sunday. Don't go anywhere. Up next, get your happy on hour with Ricky C. Simmons, and he's got a guest as well. So plenty great content left here on Ticket Sundays. Appreciate you guys listening, and I will talk to you on the other side.